Hey guys, welcome along to this one. This is a sort of double header, 2 for the price of 1 this time. This was SIMseniors round 3 and 4. Obviously we start off with Suzuka. Now, I didn't qualify pole, I qualified second. It was damp conditions, but there was a dry line and dry tyres were optimum. So in all fairness, I was probably better starting in second because I was on the dry line. So we get away, and as you can see, I've already started to pull on the pole man. So coming into T1, we're in the lead, and I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm thinking, okay, I mean, we were around 2 tenths, I think it was, maybe 3 tenths off the pole lap time, but yeah, I knew I had a little bit more in there. So by this stage it was like, right, we've done the hard work. That's what we needed to do. Granted, in all fairness, I did sort of say in the live stream that before the start of the race I'd have took second place all day long, obviously being the conditions were tricky. But like I said, we'd done the hard work, we've got into the lead, and as you can see, I'm starting to pull away from second place, man. So, strategy changed, to be fair. It was just, right, let's sort of not take it easy, but not be sort of hell for leather, a bit like the last race at Monza, where we were, obviously a dry track, we were on it for every lap up to, I think it was lap 6, where obviously the guy behind then sort of overshot or committed or got a little bit on the curb and lost control. So I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I had to be safe. So it was just a matter of not so much bringing it home. It was very early on. It was the first lap. So yeah, I didn't know what to think, to be fair. I was trying to get my head down. I was trying to do everything correct. As you can see here, the dry line is there. It was a prominent dry line. But obviously in the back of my mind, I knew then that it's going to make it a lot more difficult to overtake on the track, because you have to stray off the dry line. Dry tyres were optimum, as I said at the start. So yeah, it would have made it more difficult for, say, anyone to overtake me. So I knew all this, and yeah, it was right. Okay, head down. Let's get going. Obviously, one thing I was doing which sort of aided me. We'll never move on to lap 6. So by this stage we were, I think, about 2 seconds in front, which is and I seem to be sort of pulling on him slightly. But yeah, all of a sudden I start to lose the back end. I'm not sure whether I sort of touched a bit of the water. I strayed off the dry line. So I'm thinking, okay, then let's sort of collect it back up. We're still in first. We've obviously lost our 2 second lead, but we're still in first. That's where we need to be. So yeah, it wasn't a big issue as such. As I said, the concentration levels were high. As you can see, that it was just trying to keep it to the dry line. That was the aim. But yeah, it was still difficult. Curbs, as you can see, it was just a matter of not sort of getting on the throttle too early. You see again a little bit of a correction in the wheel. But yeah, coming up to this corner, this is where I was dropping to TC4, basically because TCA out of here, it was sort of very intrusive. You can really feel it. It really struggled to get going, possibly because it's a slight camber change, slight elevation. So I was dropping it, and even in a dry race I drop it to TC4, and you probably gain, I don't know, a couple of tenths. But yeah, unbeknown to me, which I've done a few times, I left it on TC4. So I come round the corner and yeah, power on, and the back end just let go. And I was absolutely gutted, to be fair. I was just, and I still, as you can see by the TC, I'm still on 4. I'd not sort of realised what had happened. And I think it was only till sort of near the end of the lap that I sort of see that it was on 4. And to be fair, I could have lost it at many a point after that, not realising I'd left it on 4. And it's such a, I would say, schoolboy error, not sort of a rookie mistake. It's easily done. As you can see now, it's back up to 8. So now I've realised, and I'm absolutely gutted. I really am, because like I said, I was pulling. I had the pace to sort of stay ahead, and so then coming into here, whether I was just not with it by then, I was like kicking myself. maybe concentration levels had dropped, I don't know, but it was just a comedy of errors. And I mean, lucky for me, again, as you can see, third place man was literally on me. I'm on the wet part of the track as well, and then get back on the dry, and he's on the wet. So it was, could have so easily lost first and then dropped down to sort of third. It was, yeah, it was a difficult pill to swallow, if I'm brutally honest, because I knew coming into it that I didn't have the overall pace to get pole. As I said to you, maybe second place was the best starting point on the grid, being on the dry line. Obviously, I knew this from a past race that had ran. I wasn't in it, but I'd watched it on somebody else's stream, so I knew where the sort of dry line was. So, but obviously in qualifying, I didn't intentionally qualify second. I did try and get pole, but obviously, fortunate for me, yeah, I was second and I got away. But as I said, absolutely gutted. It was. I was just, yeah, devastated, because I know how quick now obviously first place man is. Yes, he made a mistake at the last round at Monza, which shows that he can make mistakes, and he can, yeah. We're all human at the end of the day, I think is the sort of words I'm looking for. But as I said, in the championship sort of scenario, I'd only then just found out that with the SIMseniors Championship we dropped 3 rounds, and obviously I presume that we get to sort of pick our worst 3 rounds. So bearing that in mind, obviously the mistake in him coming, I think it was in maybe the 22nd position at Monza, because he crashed into the wall, is now null and void. So it sort of, in my mind, he was technically still leading the championship, and yeah, I was in sort of prime position to bag another win, which would have been fantastic. I mean, 2 consecutive wins on the bounce, Monza and Suzuka. But as I said, by this stage, I mean, the final lap, I'd sort of settled myself down. I couldn't do anything about it except for sort of like beat myself up, to be honest. I think I said on my stream on multiple occasions, and even at the end, that I was gutted, absolutely furious with myself that I'd made that error with the traction control, because I think if I'd not, I would have still been in the lead for sure. As I said, all the sort of pitfalls with the circuit being damp, trying to overtake someone off the racing line, unless obviously the only way you're going to get past is if, yeah, you make a mistake, which I did. Yeah, I was just, yeah, devastated. As I said, it is what it is. But I thought, well, I looked at the start of the race, and it was like I would have took second, obviously not knowing that I'd have got into first. So yeah, sort of damage limitation. I had the fastest lap of the race by this stage, final lap. I knew that he probably wouldn't beat that, being as tyres are worn and everything else. So that was a sort of little bit of silver lining, sort of, yeah, get the sort of extra point. Obviously he would have sort of got the extra point for pole, and then would have got the extra points for sort of winning the race. Maybe it's about 5 points difference between first place points and second place points. I'm not, like I said, 100% sure, but like I said, at this stage, just seeing it home, we were getting caught slightly by third place man, so I was a little bit worried. But as I said, it was a final lap, we've almost done it. Maybe I'd sort of eased off, just wanted to bring it home. But yeah, it still a bit of a pill to swallow in the grand scheme of things, when it's all added up at the end of it, at the end of the championship, when the 3 drop rounds will be sort of taken away. So, but yeah, like I said, second place, we'll take that. We can't rewind time as much as I'd like to, but yeah. So on to round 4. This was Brands. Now, Brands has always been a good circuit for me. So again, I did a lot of practice. We come into this. The guy who I'm sort of battling in the championship, he'd shown that he was slightly quicker than me in practice. So again, it was like, right, okay, we'll try and get second. But no, for some strange reason, he couldn't seem to replicate his time in practice, and I managed to bag pole, but I think by about maybe 2 tenths, almost 3 tenths. So yeah, absolutely, yeah, ecstatic with that, because I know Brands is such a difficult track to overtake on. So as you see, I can get away, just having looked to maybe cover the inside, but didn't have to. He wasn't, I mean, in a position to go down the inside. So yeah, that was it, job done. Start is done. I'm away, I'm still in first. And as I said, with the knowledge, a bit like Suzuka last time out, the knowledge was there that it's a difficult circuit to overtake on. I know that I had the pace in race trim. We were probably about, in all fairness, going on practice, I said probably about a tenth or two in it between us in race pace. So I knew it was just a matter of, yeah, trying to get my head down, not doing anything stupid. Obviously, lucky for me this time, at Brands, I don't mess about with the TC at all. There's no sort of point on the circuit where I'm going to benefit from it. So yeah, there was no worry with that either. So that helped. So yeah, it was just a matter about, yeah, getting my head down and pushing. But yeah, by this stage, I think I was just over a second. So I'm thinking, okay then, I mean, we might, yeah, might have a chance here. Maybe I'm just a bit of a faster starter than he was. Maybe he was conserving his tyres. I mean, I think halfway through the race I was a bit worried maybe he'd sort of like held onto his tyres a bit more. He was going to come back at me at a later part of the race. But we'll move on to lap 14. Not much else had happened. I'd pulled a gap, as you can see in my sort of rear view camera on the Beamer. I think by this stage I was maybe sort of 3.5, 4 seconds ahead of him. Maybe more, to be fair. And I did. I by that time I'd bagged the fastest lap of the race as well. So everything was going absolutely fantastic for me. Obviously, by this stage, being it was a 30-car grid and Brands being a short circuit, we'd obviously sort of started to come up to some back markers, and I'd not had an issue thus far. So I could see these guys in ahead of me. I mean, obviously I'm sort of keeping one eye on the guy behind, keeping an eye on the lap times, keeping an eye. I mean, you have to at the end of the day, and especially with this circuit, you sort of drive accordingly. This part in especially, it can throw you off, dip a wheel like the guy there in the white car. But yeah, this got me a little bit. I got a little bit hot under the collar, so to speak, because obviously he's a back marker. He was in the middle of the track, so it was like, what way do I go? He'd still not yield, and he was, yeah. And unfortunately for him, I just touch him and he goes off. But I had a bit of a hissy at that stage. But that was, to be fair, that was it. Every other back marker was absolutely fantastic. Getting out of the way didn't hold me up. He sort of stabilised the time, second place by this stage, so we were around 4 seconds. He couldn't gain on me and I couldn't pull away, but which was fine. It was a lovely gap to have, and yeah, sort of a little bit in my back pocket just in case something did happen with back markers. But as you can see, yeah, final lap. So yeah, I was a complete stark contrast from the last race at Suzuka, as I said, where I've sort of beaten myself up because I pretty much handed him the race win. I think if I'd not made that rookie error with the traction control, I would have won that race as well. This race, like I said, it was, yeah, I was over the moon because obviously I'd done a lot of practice. I'd seen he was maybe slightly quicker, but not a massive amount. So, but to, yeah, actually bag pole, get away, because, yeah, position is king at this track for sure. So qualifying was key. But yeah, as you can see, come around into the final corner, like I said, absolutely over the moon. Over the moon. Need to do it, as I said, with the 3 drop rounds that we have. I need to start bagging race wins, and yeah, that's what we did. So it sort of made up for Suzuka.